Hey everybody, Marty Bodie here. Welcome back to the channel. Today's my day off, so I'll be doing what I often do on my day off, and that is riding my motorcycle. We're going to be venturing up into Virginia here from North Carolina. And I said we because I'm not just talking about me and the motorcycle. I have an extra special blessing today. My wife is going on the ride with me. She doesn't get to ride with me very often, so I'm really excited about having a co-rider today. There's my lovely wife, and stay tuned and you'll see where we end up and what kind of day we have, because you never know on the motorcycle. Every day is an adventure, but it's certainly an adventure when you're on two wheels. So stay tuned and see where we end up. Well, we are 100 miles from Person County, North Carolina. We're pulling out of Stuart, Virginia on highway, it's Highway 58 West. This will take us up to the top of Lover's Leap Lookout. I'm trying to remember. Now, my wife has ridden the Texas Hill Country with me, but I'm trying to remember if she's ever actually done a mountain route with me. When I went to Colorado on the motorcycle, my wife ended up driving the passenger rental van with the rest of the family, while myself and my wife's uncle rode the motorcycle, so she didn't get to ride on the back in the Rocky Mountains. And the other mountain rides I have made since we've lived in North Carolina, she was not able to go, so this may be her first time actually in the mountains on a motorcycle, and we are just mesmerized by mountains. Of course, we live in north central North Carolina, so we have the best of both worlds. We can go east to the beach. Matter of fact, recently the kids were out on spring break and I took the kids to the beach and we swam in the Atlantic Ocean. And then we can go west and we're in the mountains. We were, I think, 63 miles from the house today when we saw our first mountain off in the distance. And now we're 100 miles from the house, and I know it's going to get very scenic when we get to the lookout area. The first mountain ride I took in North Carolina was to Pilot Mountain. This was the second mountain motorcycle ride that I took here in North Carolina. I met up with one of my Indian motorcycle riding buddies. I was riding my Indian at the time, and it was cold and drizzly, dreary the day I rode up here the first time. Now, the second time I came over this mountain was with another Indian motorcycle riding buddy of mine and also a fellow Methodist pastor. We rode over and did the back of the Dragon. I know the tail of the Dragon gets a lot of attention for obvious reasons. I've ridden the tail of the Dragon last year. I really like the tail of the Dragon, but I think I like the back of the Dragon better. It's a little faster, a little longer. It ends in Tazewell, Virginia. I forgot the town we start in on the southern end of the back of the Dragon. But coming back from doing the back of the Dragon, coming over this little mountain area, it was raining, and you can tell there's construction going on here, and so there was mud running across the road. We got home, our bikes were filthy. My buddy was leading on the way home. We did pull over and put our rain gear on before we hit the rain. Sometimes by the time you hit the rain, it's useless to put the rain gear on. But so we'll certainly stop unless the road construction is an issue. There's a really nice lookout area up here, and I know we'll stop and check out the scenery. I learned about this particular area from one of my church members. I think they've got property up here, and was telling me that, you know, if I wanted to do a mountain ride that's not very far from Timberlake, North Carolina, where I live, excuse me, I got a tickle in my throat, that this was one of the closest. And which way am I going here? Usually these GoPro cameras really don't do it justice. The stabilization kind of levels out everything, so even sometimes on a steep incline, you really can't tell through the camera. The Blue Ridge Parkway is 12 miles away. Next ride I really want to go to the very north end of the Blue Ridge Parkway, start at mile marker 1 and ride it somewhere down along here, and then go back home. It's a day ride. When we did the back of the Dragon, that was a day ride. Left Roxborough area at 6 a.m. Rode up, did the back of the Dragon, rode back, all in the same day. I'd like to try to do Maggie Valley as a day ride and go to the museum, but I don't know. I make a ride to Maggie Valley and back in a day, but I'm afraid once I got to the museum, I wouldn't want to leave. The Wheels Through Time, I think is the name of the museum in Maggie Valley. Then in June, I'm definitely going to Knoxville, Tennessee. One of my favorite YouTubers is Traveling Tall. He does a annual Run for the Hills ride, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. So I'll ride to Knoxville on Thursday, ride with Traveling Tall on Friday, ride back home on Saturday so I can preach on Sunday. I think that ride is around the 6th, 7th, and 8th or so of June. I'm really looking forward to that ride. This is such a beautiful part of the country. North Carolina's most beautiful state we've ever, of course, the only state we've ever lived in besides North Carolina is Texas. Up until just under 2 years ago, my wife and I lived our whole life in Texas. But we moved to North Carolina so my wife could attend Duke Divinity School. We're both Methodist pastors, and that's the seminary she wanted to go to, and here we are. So my wife just finished her second year at Duke Divinity School, and that's one of the reasons she doesn't ride with me very much, is she pastors 2 churches and is bogged down as a full-time student with schoolwork. I just pastor 1 church. We have a little break in her semester. Her spring semester has ended, and her summer semester has not yet started. I found a location here on the other side of the Lover's Leap Lookout to put in my navigation, and the location I put in is 9 miles away. I don't know how far we are from the actual lookout area. As I mentioned, we can do beach or mountains in North Carolina, and my wife and I are definitely partial to the mountains. My kids, as you might expect, they're partial to the beach, but either one are pretty. Be prepared to stop. Yeah, last time we came through here, they were doing construction. I just assumed the construction, I could have went around those little strips. Someone out getting their exercise, walking. Walking is great exercise. I need to do it more often. Yeah, it looks like we're going to be back down to 1 lane again. Another one of these hurry up and wait kind of thing. Or so I'll probably edit some of this out unless I just keep talking. I'll probably quit talking and edit it till we get through this. Alright, I see that he turned the sign around from stop to slow. He'll hold assist. Turn off, there it goes. I did use the hill hold assist the long way, but you have to have it in gear, I think, for that to work, so I'm still holding in the clutch, so at least I don't have to worry about it rolling backward. Yeah, I just hope the construction doesn't interfere with the parking area where the Scenic Overlook is. That would be no good. You can't go to Lover's Leap Lookout without stopping at the lookout. That just wouldn't be right. But hopefully they'll have access to the little parking area. I just remember one main lookout area. There may be more than one, but some of these mountain roads, you know, every few miles there's a pull-off where you can enjoy the scenic overlook. Trucks entering highway, next 3 miles. Maybe after the 3 miles we'll be past some of the construction area, I don't know. I would still love to retire in a cabin in the mountains. I think I say that every time I ride the mountains and record on my videos. If you follow my channel, you may have heard me say that before. You'll probably hear me say it again, as long as I'm riding in the mountains. Southeast Texas, where I spent the last 20 years, was flat. The roads were mostly straight. We had to get up in the piney woods to really start experiencing some curves and hills. Wow, look at all the construction. I purchased the embedded navigation in the infotainment system when I bought this bike. It didn't come standard. It was an extra, I think, $350, but I know people use their phone for navigation, or you can buy motorcycle portable navigations you mount to your handlebars, but I really like it on the dash. Yeah, they're doing some major construction through here. I'm assuming when they get done, it'll be faster. Well, there's a pretty scenic view to the left. So since we have lived in North Carolina, I have ridden mountains in North Carolina, a little bit up into Tennessee, Virginia, and over into West Virginia. Just a tiny bit of West Virginia, because I wanted to color in another state on the map my son gave me. He gave me a map and said, "Here, Dad, color in every state you've ridden your motorcycle in." I think I'm up to 13 states. May not be till after I retire that I get the lower 48. I'd love to rent a bike in Hawaii and do Hawaii, and I'd love to ride to Alaska. That'd be a ride. Across the US, across Canada to Alaska, that's on my bucket list. Yeah, we are definitely ascending here. The weather's beautiful. It's a little cool this morning. This is May 9th, I think, and it was in the 60s this morning. Last time I checked, it was still around 70. One of my buddies said it was forecasting rain for today, but I got up this morning, I didn't see anything about rain, and it's beautiful right now. Of course, you never know. We may hit rain before we get home, but I always say weathermen will lie, so as long as it's not raining when it's time to leave, I'll usually leave. I mean, that's what they make rain suits for. Now, if it's a gully washer coming, you know, a downpour when it's time to leave, I might not leave, but if I have a multiple day ride planned, I'm going to ride rain or shine. Well, the Blue Ridge Parkway is 7 miles from here. We have done part of the Blue Ridge Parkway in the car with the family, and then I've ridden part of the Blue Ridge Parkway down close to Asheville on my motorcycle. That was last year. I did part of the traveling tall. I got that on my brain for next month. No, the last 2 years I did part of Adam Sandoval's ride. Just forgot what he called it. Uh-oh, did I just miss the overlook right there? I think there's a better one here. I hope. No, this is it. I better stop while I can. I almost missed the overlook talking. So we're going to get off here and check out the overlook and continue on our journey. I guess I better leave this thing in gear on the hill here. All right, Miss Bodie. Yes, you're on camera. First of all, what do you think of the view?
Oh, it's beautiful.
Did I tell them right this is the first time you've actually been in the mountains on a motorcycle with me? Because we did the hill country.
Yeah.
But actual mountains. Yeah, this is gorgeous. I almost passed the Overlook talking.
Place.
Hmm?
This is my happy place.
Yes. Oh gosh, isn't it gorgeous? This is absolutely beautiful. I was mentioning states around here where I've ridden mountains. I've also ridden mountains in Arkansas, and I've already mentioned Colorado. So, did I tell them right? What do you like better, beach or mountains?
Mountains.
Mountains. And then the really important question that all of my motorcycle viewers are going to want to know the answer to. What is more comfortable, the Indian Roadmaster or the Harley Street Glide?
The ride wasn't terrible, but the Indian is more comfortable. The suspension is a bit better.
It is, I agree. They upgraded the suspension greatly on this Street Glide compared to the 19 model I had. Extra inch of travel, you can adjust preload on both sides, vastly improved it, but it's still, the Indian's got better suspension. It just does. And then that electric windshield on the Indian adds to the comfort. But the motorcycle is performing flawlessly. We're having a great time. We're going to ride back down over this this mountain, and I'm not sure where we'll go from there. We may go north or we may go south when we get to the Blue Ridge Parkway. But I'll take you along on the ride, and we'll see where we end up from here. So stay tuned. Well, we're just beyond the Lover's Leap lookout at Meadows of Dan. We stopped, I don't know if you can see the sign on the camera, Nancy's Candy Company. We're gonna go in and check out some candy. And I guess there may be Amish in this part of the country. We just saw a buggy go by that looked like an Amish buggy, you know, pulled by a horse, and maybe it wasn't, but I know up around Pennsylvania and places where the Amish are. I don't know if there are any here in Virginia, but it sure looked like it. If it was, that's the first time I've ever seen an actual Amish buggy. Now, I've spent some time with some Mennonites doing hurricane relief work down in Texas, but we're gonna go here and check out the candy company, maybe take home some candy for the kids. I try not to do sugar more than once a month, but I may have to splurge and get some candy here if they have some novelty candy. Let's see what they've got. Oh yeah, they've got candy in here. Oh yeah, this is, wow, look at all the candy. This is pretty cool. Oh no, there's my weakness is fudge. It's not looking good for me, staying away from sugar. Look at all the candy. Candy, candy, candy. I used to eat sweets all day, every day, but not anymore. Not anymore, unfortunately. Wow, look at all the candy. Candy, candy, candy. Trying to remember, back in Texas, we've been to a candy warehouse store like this. I'm trying to remember what the candy company was. I can't remember. It's one of those real famous candy companies. Look at all the candy. I don't know where we're going to go from here. We may go down the Blue Ridge Parkway, north or south. See anything you can't live without, Nicole?
Milk chocolate graham cracker.
Oh, that fudge looks pretty good. What was the candy company we went to in Texas? Starts with an S. I don't remember. My wife doesn't remember either. It'll come to me in the middle of the night. Look at all the candy. I'm curious, which do you prefer? If you had a choice between spending time at the beach or spending time in the mountains, what's your preferred scenic view? And stay tuned and see where we end up from here. Well, we did get on the Blue Ridge Parkway at Meadows of Dan going toward North Carolina. I think the last sign I saw said something about Fancy Gap. Fancy Gap, is that right? I don't know if we're still in Virginia or North Carolina, but I put the home address in the navigation. We're fixing to start heading back to the house, and more absolutely gorgeous scenery. I know the camera never does it justice, but it is so pretty. It says Mount Airy Granite. I can't read too good. So that's where we are right now, but we're fixing to head to the house, and I may do some closing remarks at the house. I may not. If I don't, remember, if you like to ride as much as you can, because one day we're all going to be too old to ride. Well, we made it home safe and sound. Then there's some questions I'd love for you to answer. Do you prefer beach or mountains? If you have a spouse, does your spouse ride with you? Do y'all ride on the same motorcycle together? Does your spouse have their own motorcycle? Do you prefer interstate or back roads? Coming home, my navigation ended up dumping us on the interstate for a while. We got off, ended up getting back on, but we found a peach cobbler factory. Who thinks up this stuff? Let's open a business that sells peach cobbler. Well, it was delicious. And even went by and stopped and I saw one of my wife's classmates from seminary and got to visit and did 295 miles, which for my wife might be a record. Usually about 200 miles is kind of her limit, so I usually try to schedule rides that really don't go much over 200 miles. If we'd have went straight to Lover's Lookout and back, that would have been just over the 200 miles, but we went almost 300 miles, but had a great time. We left at 9 o'clock this morning. It's 20 minutes till 6. So we made a full day of it, and that's just like snacking at convenience stores. We didn't even stop for a full meal. Of course, when you're on the Blue Ridge Parkway, you're not running, 60, 70 miles an hour. You're doing 45 miles an hour. It's true, a lot of the mountains. Of course, we went through that section with road construction that slowed down the amount of miles. Otherwise, we would have done more than 300 miles if we hadn't have been on, country mountain roads. But had a great time. The motorcycle performed very well. There was one section of interstate where it's like, man, I got to get off this interstate. I think it was just a rough section because it was beating me up pretty bad. But the last section of interstate we got on was pretty smooth. So, overall, the suspension is not bad on this motorcycle. It's way better than the Harleys used to be. It's not quite up to the competition. We've already mentioned the Indian motorcycles have better suspension. 25 years ago on the Goldwing, it had a much better suspension. So, Harley's closing the gap on suspension. They're not quite there yet, but now as far as performance, this one's quicker than my Indian was. My Indian, though, had the Thunderstroke 111 instead of the 116, and then that Power Plus motor is even faster. So if you put the Power Plus motor up against, say, a Harley CVO, now they would be pretty close, but just a base model Street Glide versus a base model Chieftain. Well, I say base model Chieftain, you got the Power Plus Chieftain now, so let me throw that out the window. So I guess performance, they're all pretty close. Comfort, again, Harley lacks a little bit on suspension. Harley doesn't have an electric windshield that, say, a Goldwing or a Indian Roadmaster does. But overall, they're great bikes. Can't go wrong with any of them. I say buy what you like. If you like Harleys, buy Harleys. If you like Indians, buy Indians. I love Harleys and Indians. I even love Goldwings. So, I could be happy with all three. I never really could be happy with anything on two wheels. But we had a great time, and like I said, my wife doesn't ride with me very often. And having a great spouse is a blessing from God. I'm tremendously blessed. My wife and I have been married 18 years, and we really enjoy each other's company. The fact that we both are pastors and do the same line of work makes it fun too. So, if you've got a good spouse, before you go to bed tonight, you thank God for that great blessing, because I know I'm certainly blessed. And I've already told you, if you like to ride as much as you can. And again, tell me, do you like back roads, interstates, beach, mountains? If you're traveling on a motorcycle, what do you like to see? Where do you like to go? And don't forget to like and subscribe and hit the bell icon. All those things help me grow the channel. We'll catch you next time.